This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Kevin Tucker and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic!
What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is August 4th, 2025. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host, Kevin Tucker. What's going on?
Yo, what's up, man? Glad to be back here for part 2 of our Anything But Magic mailbag. We did not anticipate doing a 2-parter. We thought it'd be a one and done, but when we looked up and it was at 3 hours, I was like, we can't make the people listen to 3 hours of this in the span of 3 days. So yeah, we decided to split it up. Part 2 coming at you now. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. You doing all right?
I'm doing great. You and I literally just finished going through all of the questions. So we committed to doing all the questions. We did all the questions. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, hopefully you guys get a lot out of part 2 here.
Okay, Chris Jansen says, oh, this is your question. Did you ever beat Expedition 33 and who is your favorite character? I never played it, so it's not for me. It's for Jonathan.
Yeah, I did beat Expedition 33, at least like the story. I haven't gone through and done like all of the mega bosses like Simon and that kind of stuff. I don't have the time or the energy to like put into that game, because there's the cool thing about Expedition 33 is there's like so much like customization and stuff that can be done with like the Luminos and the Pictos and like all the different skills. Like maybe it wasn't real, but I saw someone had posted, I think, to one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, or one of the ones that I follow that talks about Expedition 33, but using the character Lune, they did like 6 trillion damage in one attack, which sounds crazy, but like Lune is like probably, in my experience, like the most broken character in the game in terms of damage. But I just haven't had the time to go back and do all that. It's one of those games that I think I'll revisit, every so often and just kind of like make more progress. I don't know that I'll ever completely like 100% it. But yeah, just without a doubt, one of the best games I've ever played in every aspect. The story, the combat, the visuals, the music, like it's pretty close to a perfect game. And then my favorite character, man, it's, you know what? It's either Verso or like by the end of it, I'm a big like Renoir fan. Like he's the big kind of baddie for the most part of the game. But like when you find out the way that he thinks and the reason why he's doing what he's doing, like the dude isn't wrong. Maybe that's a hot take, but yeah, Verso or Renoir, definitely my favorite characters. Kevin, what is your most favorite restaurant in Orlando? And then, so that's from the Magician 321, but Ungos Joe on X also asks, besides Jam Hot, what are the top 3 places to eat within 15 minutes of the Kia Center? Those are kind of
I put them back
questions.
to back because I expected us, which I'm going to do. The Magician 321's question, what's your favorite restaurant in Orlando? The answer is Jam Hot Chicken. So that was going to be the answer to that one. Then you followed up with the Ungos Joe. Besides Jam Hot Chicken, what are your top 3 favorite places to eat within 15 minutes at the Kia Center? Well, I can tell you one that's within 0 minutes of Kia Center that Jonathan and I both like, right?
Yeah.
JJ's Fresh from Scratch, which is in Kia Center, part of the Orlando Table Initiative.
I don't know for sure if they're redoing that this year.
Oh, I thought
they are.
I thought it was coming back, but
I hope so. I hope you're right.
I'm pretty sure we were told it's coming back, but we'll see. Hopefully it does, because they're really great. Outside of that, the problem is they've, the food scene around Kia Center has changed so much over the last few years. I know obviously eventually it's going to change again with Westcourt coming around. Tavern on Church, again, it's attached to Kia Center, but their food's good. Do you have another one within 15 minutes that you like?
Well, we recently went to Agave Azul.
Oh, you're right.
Back in June when we were in Orlando. And then this isn't 15 minutes from Kia Center, but over there in Winter Park, Briar Patch that I took you to for breakfast. Like that place is absolutely fantastic. And then JJ's Fresh from Scratch, I believe, if I remember correctly, that's like the Curry Ford Road area. So that's, I guess, almost in that 15-minute area, if I'm remembering where it is correctly, but even not, like it's, in the Orlando Table on the concourse in Orlando, and yeah, just banging.
Yeah. Chosen Savior on X says, "Are you a fan of retro gaming? And if so, what is your favorite system?" I am not. Do you? Do you like it?
I mean, I'm a PlayStation guy through and through. I mean, I had a Sega Genesis as a kid, but like I've had the PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. My favorite system, I'll probably just go with what is considered arguably the greatest system of all time, which is the PlayStation 2. Just so many bangers and so many classics on that. Two of my favorite games of all time on that console, Metal Gear Solid 2. Also, I believe Metal Gear Solid 3 was on the PlayStation 2 as well. And then my favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy X. And that was on the PlayStation 2. That was like one of the flagship games for the PlayStation 2.
Is that stuff all considered retro gaming now?
At this point, it is. I mean, we're talking,
dang it,
22, 23, maybe 24 years since the PlayStation 2 came out. Like,
see, when I hear retro gaming, I'm thinking, Nintendo, original Nintendo or 64 or,
at this point, the PlayStation 2, like,
I get it. But
it's
a tough pill to swallow.
An old school tube, really, to play those games.
It's a tough pill to swallow. So, yikes. Thanks for making me feel old, Chosen Savior on X.
Ruben Rice 73 asks, "What's the most difficult decision you have ever made in your life?" Heavy, I know.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Oh, man. Well, I've had to move a couple times, change jobs, change states, and move my family. That's a big deal. Honestly, the whole surgery process last year, that was a really big deal. Choosing what surgery to have, where to have it. That was a big one. I don't know. I mean, those are probably the big ones. There might be a couple that I can't share on air, but yeah, I mean, those are some of the big ones. Did any come to your mind for you?
Yeah. When I left my job, so for those of you listening to the pod, so in 2012, I believe it was, I started working at an eye clinic, and I was there for 7 years. I left in May of 2019, so like just a few months into the pod. So the eye clinic is actually where I was working when I started the pod. And so I started working in medical records there when I was 18, like a couple weeks before I turned 19. And I would literally, like, this is when we still had massive paper charts that I would have to go around the clinic to collect after the patient's appointments. And then we had literally rows of shelves in the bottom basement floor of the clinic with the old school turnstiles, because they would all collapse together, and then you would have to open them to go put them in like alphabetical, or I guess numerical order of where they went. So I did that, and then I worked my way up. I did some diagnostic stuff where we would take scans of a patient's eyes, and then eventually I did what's called retinal angiography, where you inject dye into the patient's arm, and then using a special filter on a very expensive camera, you would basically document the blood flow in the back of their eye. And that got me introduced into retina. And that's what I did up to the point that I left, where I would actually assist in surgery. And it was just like one of the things that it's the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. And no matter how hard I tried, I was never really good at it. And not that anything ever went bad, but just like the constant weight of like you're assisting in surgery in a patient's eye, and any like wrong thing that you do could directly affect this person's quality of life for the rest of their life. And that kind of pressure in that environment is for some people. It ain't for me. I like physically dreaded that job at one point. But every large decision that I've ever made in my life, I always try to do that through the lens of God's will on my life, or what I believe is God's will for my life. So I wanted to leave that job probably for like over a year. And I would just always pray, like, God, if this is where you want me to be, I'll be here and I'll be miserable. But I'm also miserable and would really like to go somewhere else. So I guess the hardest decision during that time was just trusting God and trusting his timing, and that he would give me a better opportunity. And that's the job that I'm at now. So that was probably the most difficult decision I've had to make, like whether or not to leave that job.
There you go. Estonio on X says, "What's y'all's ideal road trip? 5 cities only." So that's an interesting one. If you literally mean road trip, like you have to drive like between 5 cities, that's I mean, I would probably just do all the big cities on the East Coast because that's a shorter road trip. I'm not one like I love driving, but I don't want to do like the drive across America thing. So like, give me like, you know, what is that? DC, Philly, Boston, or New York, Boston, and whatever else extra city you want to add in there. Like that little corridor right there, I guess. But I'm not one to do like, I want to drive from Florida to California like that. No, thank you. I'm out on that one.
So mine would mostly be around golf. So I would leave here in Homosassa, would drive to Ponte Vedra Beach to play TPC Sawgrass. Then I would drive to Augusta, Georgia to play Augusta National. Would drive to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, the golf capital of the world. After that, I would drive to like Pinehurst Village in North Carolina and play the Pinehurst courses there. And then I would probably just end it by going to New York City. Because like you could, like where the Ryder Cup is going to be this year, like Bethpage Black. But that's like one of the hardest courses ever. And I don't think I would, I mean, all of those courses I just mentioned are pretty tough. But I would probably end it up in New York City to cap it off there.
Gotcha. Cool.
CNoob2021 on X. Who is your Super Bowl pick for this year?
Well, this opens up a can of worms here. When it comes to football, I am experimenting right now with staying away from football, potentially even going into football season. I'm just kind of over it, which is very bad. And it's really going to be put to the test because I'm a very loyal sports fan. And so for me to just turn away from my 2 favorite football teams, Tampa Bay Bucks in the NFL and Florida State in college, but I'm just, I don't know. I'm trying it out. I've got a lot in life these days that take up my time. And so all that to say, I have not kept up with the offseason hardly at all. I couldn't tell you who's on what team. Like, other than I just know the Bucks keep having guys get injured and the season hasn't even started yet because I get those notifications still. I do not have a pick. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know. I have no pick. Do you have a pick?
I would love to say the Giants, right? But I don't think that's realistic. Realistically, I would love the Bills to be able to get it done. I like that team. I like Josh Allen. I have a good number of Bills fans in my life who, you know, I know that's just like they want nothing more in life but to be able to see a Bills Super Bowl, and obviously a pretty tortured franchise historically. So I would love to see the Bills, and I think they've got as good a chance as any.
Nice. Can Dugan on X, which first we got to shout out Can Dugan because this year threw out, I believe, 20 questions in a span of like less than 5 minutes, just a machine, and did the same thing last year. So big shout out to Can Dugan for taking this episode very seriously. We are finally at your stretch of the episode. I think the next 20 questions are all from Can Dugan. So shout out to him. Here we go. First question is, if there was a ladder connecting Earth to the moon and each step was $1, how many steps would you take? So that means 1 step equals 1 foot going up to the moon. How many steps would you take to earn $1 each step?
I have a fear of heights, so I just wouldn't be able to get very high. I would love to be able to tell you I could go up 100 feet. I don't know if I physically could do it. I don't know if my body would let me climb that high. Once I start getting to like 30 feet, I would literally be fearing for my life. So I'm just going to say $30.
Oh, that's better than me. I was going to say 0. Not because I have a fear of heights, but like once you get past, 10, 20 feet, you're talking about risking your life there. And am I risking my life for $20? No. Am I risking my life for $100? No. Like, think like how many steps do I have to take to where it's worth it to me? By that point, it's just going to take forever. Like, it's just not worth it. So I'm saying 0 steps on the ladder to the moon. Can Dugan.
Now, if it's like you're strapped in, there's no way you can die, and like you just go until you're tired.
Right.
Even like I probably couldn't do more than like a few hundred steps before I'm just completely gassed.
Right. But then you got to come back down. That's the other part, So, yeah, no thank you.
Okay, this one, you're on a deserted island with unlimited food from one restaurant. What do you pick?
Not Jam Hot Chicken, he indicates as well. So we can't use that answer, even though they sponsor the show. Shout out Jam Hot. I would probably go one of the like healthier options, something like, I want to say Chipotle, but that would probably get a little repetitive because it's a lot of the same stuff.
It doesn't specify fast food.
I know.
Okay.
But like, I can't think of other places that I would probably go. But I'm thinking maybe like Kava. Kava's very clean, good food, a lot of variety. I don't know. That's a tough one. What do you?
I'm going Charlie's Steakhouse, baby.
Oh my
Ribeyes, lobster mac and cheese, grilled asparagus, like all day, every day. Surf and turf, just nonstop.
Gotcha. That's a good one. All right. Also from Ken Dugan says, if everyone in the country had their TVs turned on to you for 3 minutes, what would you say? Wow.
I would like to think that I would share the gospel. You never really know. Like, I think I would force myself to do it as like, it's weird. Like you and I do this not for a living, but like we talk all the time. But to think of like the entire country looking at you and like thinking of like what I could use that 3 minutes for, that's probably what I would like just force myself to do, no matter how difficult I would might find that in the moment.
Yeah, I would have a similar tone to it, but I would obviously start with like, honestly, I would start with like, well, guys, what are we doing? Like,
yeah,
why, what is going on? Like, what is this? This is not what life is supposed to be about. There's just way too much bickering and arguing and hatred and all that kind of stuff. Like, can we just get on the same team for once? Like, yeah, you can disagree about stuff, but you have to be so hateful. Like, come on, guys. It would be like that. And then it would just be, encouraging peace and kindness and patience with each other and all those things, because we could use more of all of that in this world. It's your turn. Another Can Do in here.
Yeah. Would you rather walk on all fours for a week or have to sing everything you speak for a month? This is might be the most difficult question on the entire list.
Walk all fours for a week or sing everything you speak for a month. I don't know if I could get on this show and sing the whole show and we still have a show after a month. Like, if that's the case for a whole month, that's 8 episodes. By the time those 8 episodes are done, we're down to 0 views and 0 downloads because people are sick of it and the show's canceled. At the same time, me being on all fours for the show, some people might tune in more for that. I'm thinking of some of our friends.
You would have to walk on all fours. Doesn't mean you have to stay on all fours.
I guess that's true too. So yeah, I'm going with the all fours thing. It's only a week.
Yeah, I'm doing that. I'm just telling my wife, hey, I've got to do this for a week. I'm not leaving the house.
Yeah.
And then that would be it. I can't do. I like to sing. I can't sing. I do like to sing, but I definitely couldn't do it for a month. If it was a week, I could probably do the singing thing for a week. But yeah. What's your most irrational fear that makes no sense but still gets to you? It would probably be the water thing. Like, statistically speaking, I know how like rare it would be that like I get bit by a shark or a giant squid or the Kraken or the Loch Ness monster, like Megalodon, or some kind of weird alien creature. But that one just still really bothers me.
Interesting. Okay, what they label irrational? Is that what the label was? Okay, irrational fear. You can judge me. I don't wear lotion. I've never worn lotion. I hate lotion. The reason why this is irrational is I don't want my hands to be slippery at an inopportune time. For example, you and I are hanging out on a hotel balcony in Berlin, Germany, and all of a sudden you start falling off the edge and I need to grab you and pull you up to safety to save your life. If I've got lotion on, you're dead. You're dead. Sure. And that's a problem. Or let's say there's a massive flood here where I live in my neighborhood, and the Army or the National Guard have to bring in a helicopter, and I've gotten my family up on the helicopter. Everybody's safe. But now the water's getting too high, and so the helicopter has to get up, and he reaches out his arm to me, and I'm holding on to him. He's got to pull me into the helicopter. I'm dead because my hand was too slippery. So I don't wear lotion. That's an irrational fear, but I will have grip in the moment that's most important. So yeah, you can thank me for that. All right. That's really weird. I've never shared that publicly like that, but that's true. Okay. Next one from Ken Dugan says, could you carry a baby to term and deliver it with an epidural? Do you think you could do that?
Absolutely not. I see my wife do it 3 times. I'm not capable of doing that. You're out of your mind.
Look, I mean,
you are out of your mind.
I have I'd like to think my pain tolerance is very high considering some of the things I've been through in my life. I know childbirth is a different level, but you've got this connection with this living creature. And, you know, I don't know. Honestly, the pregnancy part might be worse than the birthing part. Like the whole 10 months of carrying around a baby and you get like everything changes. That scares me more than the actual birth. So I don't know. Could you carry? I could do it. I wouldn't enjoy it though. I would be one and done. That's what I'd say. Ken Dugan says favorite sports movie, favorite sports documentary. Do you have a favorite sports movie or documentary?
My favorite sports movie is probably The Replacements with Keanu Reeves. It's not really a documentary as it is like a documentary series, but The Full Swing, like the golf series on Netflix, that's probably my favorite sports documentary project.
If you ask me my favorite sports movie, it's always going to be Space Jam, the original. But the other day I did watch Remember the Titans again, and I was just reminded of how good. That's a great movie. Also, that cast, like looking back, like some of those dudes were just kids, and then the careers that they had were crazy. Like not just dudes, like even the coach's daughter was Hayden Panettiere, right? Exactly. Yeah. Who went on in Heroes and all kinds of Nashville.
Gosling's in that.
Ryan Gosling, Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah.
Like the list was just crazy. So anyway, that's a great one. Documentaries. I mean, The Last Dance comes to mind. That was a good one. I'm just thinking recently, it's just top of mind. We talked about it before, but I watched the Malice at the Palace documentary recently. Biased, the All or Nothing Amazon documentary about Arsenal was awesome. So yeah, I think those are. Oh, it's kind of sports related. But did you ever watch Free Solo, the climber? Speaking of Yosemite, he free climbed El Capitan, and it's like you would hate it. You would hate watching it. I can't do the heights
thing. I can't even watch people do the heights thing.
I literally didn't breathe. When he started the actual climb, I just didn't breathe the whole time. It's so intense. So intense. So yeah, those are some of my favorites.
We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our friends over at Jam Hot Chicken, proudly serving the city beautiful. Jam Hot Chicken is bringing jams, culture, and hot chicken to the heart of Winter Park. Jam Hot Chicken is a Nashville and LA inspired hot chicken shack locally owned and operated in Winter Park, located at 400 West New England Avenue, Suite 13 in Hannibal Square. Be sure to follow them at Jam Hot Chicken on all social media. Head over to jamhotchickenfl.com to their website. You can find their menu, online ordering, and all things Jam Hot. And now also available on Uber Eats. So if you don't want to leave the comfort of your home, but you're in the mood for the box, download the Uber Eats app and get jam delivered right to your door. Not only do we partner with them because the food is fantastic, but because their owner, Andrew Scala, is a massive diehard Orlando Magic fan, and he's just super passionate about bringing great food to Central Florida and his Orlando Magic. So be sure to stop by and let him know that your friends over at the Six Man Show sent you.
Also want to take time to shout out our patrons. These are the people that financially support what we do here at the Six Man Show. And on each and every episode, we shout out a handful of our Hall of Fame and elite tier patrons, such as Daniel Flores, Brynjar Halderson, Kane Eckler, Shahin177, and Jeremiah Quintero. Shout out to all of you and to all of our patrons, again, who have chosen to financially support the show. If you would like to join them, you can go to patreon.com/The6Man Show, where you can see the different tiers that we have available. Each one has different benefits, different perks that come with it. Things like access to our Patreon Discord, access to ad-free episodes, which is something we've added this summer, and other things like that. And so again, if any of that interests you, or you just want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/The6Man Show. And now let's get back to the episode.
You win $50 million tax-free. What do you do?
Easy answer for me. There's a lot of things I do, but the top two things are quit. I love my job, but quit my job and do this full time. Give you money to quit your job to do this full time. So that's check that off the list. But the other thing I'm doing with the other, I'll give you like $1 million. You'll be fine. So the other $49 million, we've talked about this before. If I ever win the lottery, I am finding a place really close to Kia Center, whether it's a building that exists or building our own building, where it becomes the place for Magic fans to go before and after games. Great food, great drinks, and attached to it is like the podcast studio. So we can have like live shows with the studio audience if we want. And like it's this whole like Orlando Magic fan place. And it just becomes the place for Magic fans before and after games. That's what I'm doing with my $49 million.
I'm right along there with you. Money, you and me quit our jobs, do this full time. Obviously, like put away money, for my kids and, for, my family and, friends, that kind of stuff. Pay off my house, probably find a way to get some kind of crazy like golf, membership somewhere, whether it's, like Augusta, which obviously the money isn't the only factor there. Like you have to have an invitation to do that, but find a way to do that or like something similar. The Ferrari F8 Tributo, we've talked about that. I would love to own, or like sublet some kind of like apartment in New York City so I could go there whenever I want. And then I like to think that I would just like put it away and like live off interest and just like live pretty simply and comfortably. Like nothing really, I wouldn't do anything crazy like extravagant.
Live pretty simply with your Ferrari and your New York City apartment, and
Well, we're talking about $50 million here. Like I'm trying to be somewhat. After those things, like I wouldn't be going on like extravagant vacations. I wouldn't have like 15 cars and like all of that kind of stuff. I would probably have the Ferrari. I'd have the Mustang that I talked about. And then I would get some kind of like really comfortable like SUV kind of thing for like the wife and the family and stuff. And then just do whatever I want to do every day. Like, try to live a somewhat normal life, but money might change me. Who knows?
That's true. All right. You have to replace your car horn with a sound effect from any video game or movie. What do you choose? Holy crap. That's a tough one.
Victory fanfare from Final Fantasy. The bum 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 bum. That'd be it.
Man, you answered that so fast. I have no idea.
Well, I saw this one when he sent it, and like it just instantly came to mind.
I really don't know. I do something like fun and joyous, like almost like mocking. I don't know. I really don't know. I'd have to think about it, but maybe like like the sound effect. I don't know if it's from a movie, but like the sound effect of like a horn playing La Cucaracha, like I don't know, something stupid like that would be funny. Yeah, I don't know. That's tough though.
What's a moment in your life when you were instantly and completely humbled?
Okay, I saw this one when it came through, and I immediately thought about my answer to this. I was probably like 8 or 9, maybe 10, maybe years old. And I had my family had become friends with the city manager where I lived at the time. And I got into this like little stupid, 9, 10-year-old argument with this kid. And it was just like, oh yeah, well, I'm in this, I'm, one-upping each other. And I was like, oh yeah, well, I know the city manager. And he was like, oh yeah, my dad's the mayor. And he was right. His dad was the freaking mayor. And so I was the idiot there. And it always reminded me of that sketch. What was it, Brian Regan? The one-upping sketch where he's like, well, I walked on the moon. That's what I learned at a very early age, not to do that stupid game of like trying to one-up people in a conversation. I learned that day very quickly.
That is absolutely incredible. I'm going to try to condense mine because it is a really long story. But long story short, during COVID, my wife and I, we decided that we wanted to have our third child. And the home that we were in was no longer big enough. And we scoured the area that we lived in. And like a lot of people experienced during COVID, especially here in Florida, the housing market was just out of control. Like you could not purchase a house without getting into like a massive bidding war. So we basically decided that we no longer could afford to live in the city that we lived in and the city that we, were born and or not born, but, raised and grew up in, and also like had our, first couple of kids. So we decided that we were going to move to Homosassa, and the most cost-effective thing at the time actually was for us to build a house because we didn't have to compete with anybody. It was a fixed cost. We knew exactly what it was going to be. Well, the house was supposed to take anywhere from 14 to 18 months to be built. It ended up taking way longer than that, like almost 2 whole years. And during that time, mortgage rates just continue to go up and up and up because of all the money printing and, inflation and that kind of stuff. And my wife and I, when we signed the contract on our home, it was basically our dream home is what we got, but it was at like the tip top level of our budget. And we were like, okay, like the mortgage rate is going to be this, etc. So what ended up happening is with the mortgage rates going up, we started to get in like real, trouble that like this house that we were building to be our dream home and that we had sold our previous home and we were literally staying with family, me, my wife, and our 3 kids living out of 2 relatively small bedrooms at the time. We got to the point where we're like, hey, if the interest rates keep going up, we are not going to be able to afford this house. And effectively, we would have built our dream home for someone else. My wife and I literally would have sleepless nights, some nights crying ourselves to sleep because of like the fear of like, hey, like we don't know how long this is going to take. And then what happens at that point if we can't afford that house, where we don't have money to go and buy another house because we can't afford the houses in the area. That's the whole reason that we did this, etc. And basically, my son was very, very young, like a few months old. And my wife screams for me. And it's the kind of scream where like you think somebody is hurt. I think something is wrong with like our newborn. So I go running into the room. My wife is on the bed. Like we're literally like living in a very small bedroom at the time where like there's a bedroom, a dresser, and the desk that my wife worked on. So there's no room in this room, but she's on the bed crying and she's just pointing to her computer screen. So I go over to the computer screen and on it is basically like this incredible like opportunity with her job that basically meant that we could, we weren't going to have to worry about being able to afford our house. And to some people, this is going to seem like the most meaningless story in the world. But like if you're living in that situation day to day, like that was just like, we were not to, dive too much into the faith thing here again, but like every day we were like praying to God, like, why would you put us in this situation for this to now not happen? And it was like just God showing up like in the perfect moment with exactly what we needed, and was just like incredibly like grateful for that and for the opportunity. And it was just like, oh yeah, you know what? I actually don't have control over anything in my life whatsoever. But like God provided in that situation. So that was like one of the craziest moments of my entire life. And
now you've lived there for what, like 2 years?
Yeah,
like
now? Almost. Yeah, it'll be 3 years in January that we're here.
Look at that. Amazing.
And
amazing.
Interest rate is, still hurts, but yeah, we're making it happen here.
Good deal. All right, next one. Can Dugan again. If your wives were going to take you on an ideal date, what would you hope they plan? For me, I love just big events. I love sporting events. I love big concerts. I love any of that. So like take me to, like we said, Coldplay concert, sign me up. Sporting event, whether it's obviously one of my favorite teams, that's top of the list. But even if it's not my favorite team, like I love just going to big events where there's a bajillion people and it's just high energy. And I don't know, that's my ideal night or date or anything like that.
Yeah, for me, this is going to sound dumb, but it would just be like to plan a round of golf at like some awesome course. And then, dinner at like a nice steakhouse, like in the evening, golf. And then, it may be like somewhere near the water, like a, nice ribeye, with a nice view and hang out with my wife like that. That would be awesome.
Mm.
And then if you had 3 core values for your life, what would they be?
It would be kind. Well, if I had like not action verbs, but like core values, so kindness, integrity, loyalty. I think those would be my 3 like buzzword core value type things. I don't know if that's really the answer to the question, but that's what first comes to mind.
Yeah. I'm going to hold off because like I could go right into the like faith stuff here, but we just went through that and I'm going to try to hold some of that for a little bit later. Core values. One thing that I believe is that communication in every relationship is like key. I really truly believe that 99% of the like problems you can have in any type of relationship, whether it's your spouse, whether it's a coworker or, a friend or anything like that, most things come down to a miscommunication somehow. Either you didn't communicate something properly, or the person that you were talking to took it the wrong way and didn't understand your intentions. So just communicate as much as you possibly can. Another thing that I live by is that pride is poison. Like pride, other than like making you feel good at certain times or in certain situations, will almost never bring you anything good in life. More often than not, it'll actually do the opposite, get in the way of like opportunities, or, get in the way of like different relationships. And then outside of that, like just try to do unto others as you would like done to yourself. Like one of the things that Kevin and I always talk about, when we do the pod, and like certain situations come up of like, hey, what should we do like in this aspect? And we always decide like just to do the right thing and like treat people the right way. And like whatever level of success we've had, I think in large part, is due to that, to the fact that like we try to do this and do it really well. And also like we don't, try to do things that are good for us at other people's expense.
Yep, for sure. All right, this one right up your alley, but also mine too. This is fun. Build your favorite meal from all fast food / quick service restaurants. So you can pick a sandwich or entree, side, drink, and dessert. Your dream meal from all the different places. What are you thinking?
Man, this is really tough. This is my meal, so nobody can really judge.
That's right.
I'm picking multiple entrees here. I'm going the honey pepper pimento chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A. I'm also then going to take the Frisco melt from Steak and Shake, and I'm also going to do the double fry lover burger from Checkers with bacon.
Wow.
And then my sides, I am going the jalapeno poppers from Arby's, the mozzarella sticks from Checkers, and also a curly fry from Arby's. My drink and dessert, it kind of goes together. I'm going to go with the banana pudding milkshake from Cookout.
Okay.
And I'm probably going to die of a heart attack immediately after I finish that meal.
It won't take long, yeah. My sandwich, I was thinking Chick-fil-A, like my typical, like my favorite sandwich order, which is a Chick-fil-A sandwich with Colby Jack cheese and bacon. But I didn't think about the honey pimento. That was really good. I might make that my sandwich as well. Side, I'm going Arby's curly fries. Drink, I'm going cheer and then dessert.
You're right.
Cheer wine? Yeah, that's what I thought. Dessert, I could go milkshakes. Like, there's a lot of good ones, but the first thing that's coming to mind right now for fast food desserts is like the Hershey pie from Burger King. Like, that's just got some nostalgia to it.
You just read my mind.
Yeah? Let's go.
That thing is so freaking good.
It's just so nostalgic. Or like just a classic strawberry sundae from Dairy Queen. Like both of those, they just have an element of nostalgia to them that I just love. So that's my meal.
The next one here, favorite city location you've ever been. We've already done that, but the next part of that is dream vacation. My dream vacation is some type of like Mediterranean, like Greece, Croatia, Italy, like the Amalfi Coast, like something like that. Nice. Where I can just like relax. The water there is beautiful. The food obviously there is fantastic. Like you can't really find a more romantic place on earth. Like a candlelight dinner, like looking over the coast, that would for me be like some kind of Mediterranean trip.
Yeah. What I'm about to tell you, Jonathan, was going to be my answer, even regardless of the announcement that was made today with the Magic playing there. I promise you, this is my dream. It is Europe based, but it specifically involves two things, and this is why I cannot believe today happened. So first off, it involves going to see Arsenal play. Right, I want to go to London. I want to see the sights of London, whatever. But I want to see Arsenal play, my favorite soccer team in the world. But the other side of it is I have a lot of interest in Germany just from a historical perspective. To me, it's the most fascinating country in the world from that perspective. Both like really, really long-term history, but even like more recent, like obviously the World Wars and the Cold War and all that kind of stuff, which a lot of that stuff took place in Berlin. So it would actually be like some sort of European trip centered around like World War history stuff, which would include Berlin and London. So the fact that we may or may not be going there in a few months, I'm very excited. I might have to be there longer than you because I've got some things on my bucket list I got to check out.
I think you might have to be.
I might have to be. I might just meet you there. Okay, last few here from Can Dugan says top 5 Pixar movies. I know my favorite's Monsters Inc. So I also love Finding Nemo, Finding Dory. Those are great. Do you have your 5 while I think of my others?
I don't know that I have 5. I'm not like the biggest, like kind of newer Pixar kind of guy. Like there's a lot that I haven't seen. Definitely going Toy Story. Toy Story 2 might also find its way in there. I'm a big Inside Out guy. The kids love those movies. I'd probably go Inside Out 2 over the first one. This one is really underrated, and I don't know many people that have actually seen it, but it is fantastic. And I don't know if there's ever been another movie that has broke me the way that Onward did. Have you seen Onward?
Yeah.
Just absolutely fantastic. And then outside of that, maybe like Coco, maybe, or A Bug's Life, like one of those.
So none of the findings, Finding Nemo, ones. Finding Dory, neither one makes your list.
Finding Nemo is probably pretty close. Finding Nemo probably would be number 5.
Okay, good deal.
Next, top 5 Disney rides. I don't know a ton of Disney rides. The 2 that really come to mind would be like Flight of Passage, like the Avatar ride, and then the new like Galaxy of the Guardians, that ride as well. After that, like probably Space Mountain is definitely one that's there. I really like the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. And then maybe I'll go like old school Spaceship Earth.
Gotcha. I'm unfortunately just not as well visited to Disney as I used to be back when I lived there, obviously. So it has been a long time since I've been to Epcot or I almost called it MGM Studios, but it's not that anymore. Wow. Hollywood Studios.
Throwback.
I know. But like whenever we go, we just do one day with the kids at Magic Kingdom. But I love Haunted Mansion. It's a great ride still. Buzz Lightyear was my favorite ride as a kid. I still love it, still enjoy it. So stuff like that. But I need to get over to Epcot sometime very soon.
Yeah.
Okay. This is we've already kind of done this, but he says best fast food or quick service sweet treat. Kind of goes back to the question. I'm probably going to go with like Dairy Queen Strawberry Sundae. It's just I always got it as a kid, so it's nostalgic. That's probably my pick.
The Dairy Queen Cotton Candy Blizzard is really just fantastic. The best fast food quick service sweet treat. Checkers actually has funnel cake fries. Those are really good too.
Whoa.
And then the Arby's Jamocha Shake and the Arby's orange creamsicle shake. Hey, it's our time of year, brother. The Chick-fil-A peach shake.
Yeah. Have you gotten it this year? Have you gotten it this year?
I didn't know that it was back until like a week ago, and I just haven't had the opportunity to. They need to bring back the honey pepper pimento.
There's a problem though. The peach this year, the peach pieces are too big. Big problem with the straw game.
That's a good problem
Very
to have.
bad. Yeah, so
get a bigger straw.
I need to get another one just to like double check I didn't just get a bad batch, but it was an unpleasant milkshake experience, which is very disappointing because it's my favorite one. This is a very, very important question. Maybe the most important question of this entire list, because I'm concerned this actually has implications for this family and for their future and for their future offspring. Can Dugan asks, should I procreate? Do not give me a cop-out answer. You do not need context. I need a yes or no. My wife listens to the pod. All caps, yes or no. Should Can Dugan procreate, Jonathan?
I would say yes for a couple of reasons. One, yes, it is the most difficult thing that I have. Not the procreation part is easy. Like let's get that out there. The part of the raising the children after, like it is the hardest thing that I've ever done, but it is also the most rewarding, the most like fulfilling. And I always, if you have paid attention at all, birth rates around the globe are declining. So in order to keep the human race going, some people got to procreate. So I always tell my wife, like, hey, we had our 3, we did our job, right? Like we have, put forth a valiant effort for keeping the human race going. So if for no other reason than keeping the human race going, yes, you should procreate.
And here's the deal. As the birth rates decline, that increases the possibility or likelihood of your offspring becoming, I don't know, professional basketball player or president or professional golfer that makes a lot of money and pays off for you. So yeah, it's a little bit of a numbers game. No, just kidding. I'll say yes too. We don't know you. We don't know your wife. Hope this doesn't get you into trouble. But I'm going to say yes, you should. Oh yeah, your turn.
You get to name the next hurricane. Any letter, what are you naming it?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. That's a weird one. Do you know? Do you have your answer?
Hurricane Kevin, baby.
Okay. All right. I was gonna say, like, do I pick a player I don't like Hurricane Lowry, like for Kyle Lowry, and then I just root against it? I don't know. I've never thought about that.
Hurricane Cow.
Right. Yeah. Or maybe like an ex-girlfriend thing. I don't know. But sure, I'll go Hurricane Lowry. I don't know. My name is T Sizzle on X. Says favorite country at Epcot and why is it Germany? Again, I haven't been to Epcot in way too long. What's your favorite country?
The grapefruit beer. That's why it's Germany. The grapefruit beer, so good. Especially like if you're there, like when it's hot. It's just like super light, super refreshing and delicious.
When the beer is hot or the weather's hot?
Oh, like the temperature outside. Sorry. No, the beer is ice cold. The beer is ice cold. But like if you're there for like food and wine festival, there's not a wrong answer. And that's usually the time of year that I try to go to Epcot. Can Dugan, we got another one here.
It's the last one.
You're trapped inside of a cartoon for 1 month. What cartoon is it?
Gosh. What about something like chill and laid back, like Rocket Power? You remember that show?
Oh, I like that.
Wouldn't that be fun,
bro?
Yeah. Or like Jimmy Neutron. I don't know. Just kind of chilled, laid back.
Something low stakes.
Yeah. Rocket Power is probably my answer. Just fun, hanging out with the friends, and yeah.
I'd probably go Pokemon. It'd be cool to experience that world. Who's dying in Pokemon?
I don't know. I've never seen it. I assume like people die with like the Pokemons. Like those are some vicious creatures, looks like.
Yeah, but like if your Pokemon gets beat up, like you take it to the Poke Center and then like they rejuvenate it and
So none of those things ever went off on their own and like started attacking humans and stuff?
I mean, maybe I haven't really watched much outside of like the first like original seasons, but
are you telling me Smash Brothers lied to me? Because I always thought Pikachu was just this thing that could just like eliminate anybody with its like electric bolts and stuff.
Well, I mean, it sure could, but like Ash gets hit by Pikachu's like lightning like a million times and doesn't die.
Man, I've been.
But like people in like different anime and stuff like that, like things that you think would kill them, don't always.
Man. That's false advertising, if you ask me. All right. Magic Matt 1220 says, it's kind of magic related, but not really. What is your guys' dream scenario for the 6-man show and what needs to happen to make it a reality? I don't know. Do you want to answer this? Is this kind of magic related?
It's podcast related, I think. I do want to answer it. Our dream scenario is that this could be our full-time jobs, and not in a way that's like super lucrative, but I think like we would both be happy just being able to do this and like reasonably pay like our bills and like live a reasonably comfortable life that
right, I think
we do now. Well, that would be nice for sure. What needs to happen to make it a reality? I mean, just money, like just being like perfectly honest, like more money. But like dream scenario with the show, like isn't just that, we get to do it as our full-time jobs. It's like having like access to the people that we want to talk to. So, whether it's organizational staff or coaches or players or ex-players, like et cetera, just so that like we can have the conversations that Magic fans want us to have and to be able to tell or not tell the stories, but like bring the stories that Magic fans want to hear like to light. Like if you just said like, hey, you guys can literally do whatever you want, we would be able to just like talk to whoever we want whenever we want, record whatever we want whenever we want, and like go to every game and practice and event and all of those kind of things, and just like do the very best job that we possibly could to cover the team that we love.
Do you guys know how many Orlando Magic docu-series I have in my brain that I want to do, that I want to make happen? If it was our full-time thing, we would absolutely do like some like heartfelt docu-series. Maybe they're like audio style, or maybe like some like investigative stuff. I mean, there's been some stuff that's happened in the past. I'd love to dig a little deeper. So yeah, it's not just about, like Jonathan said, being full-time. It's about like being able to go so much deeper in our coverage of the team that I think would be super, super fun.
Orlando Magic UK on X, kind of tongue-in-cheek, asks, what podcast would you like to see make a return?
Well, it's pretty funny that they asked that right before the Magic announced they're going to the UK, which I think is interesting. So obviously we'd love to see you guys make a comeback if that's
a penny for your thoughts.
Yeah, if that's something you want to do. But obviously we know it's a commitment, and so it takes a lot of commitment for that. But we definitely understand why, some people choose not to do it anymore. But if you want to make a comeback, go for it. If I were to pick a non-Magic, this is anything but Magic, one of my favorite podcasts that stopped uploading episodes a couple years ago is called Four Scores. It is a podcast, a Disney podcast actually, that interviews different composers from different films. And so they interview them asking about the process for, composing and writing music and stuff for the different films that come out. And so it's great as a music nerd. Love it. It's awesome. I think they did like 3 seasons and then they stopped back in 2023. And I've been very upset ever since then. So if you guys are listening, which I know you're not, please come back and bring back Four Scores.
So yes, I would like to see a penny for your thoughts come back, first of all. I mean, who knows? Maybe we can do some Magic UK content when we're in the UK. I mean, that I don't think that's a bad idea at all. Outside of that, there used to be a podcast called The Wizard and the Bruiser, where they basically took like different shows and video games from like nerd culture and did like super duper deep dives. Like I think they did a Kingdom Hearts one. They did a Final Fantasy one. They did like a Power Rangers one. And they would go back to like the very like beginning, like origins of that thing and tell like the entire like story of whatever it was. And they would do just such a great job. And stopped doing episodes a few years ago. Part of me feels like they are still doing content, but just under like a different name. But I've just never been able to find it. But The Wizard and the Bruiser, that pod was pretty solid. Also, I wouldn't like to see Men in Blue come back because I don't know if Kevin would want to do both pods.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, maybe we could do a spinoff. 6-man show spinoff into Men in Blue. That's really funny.
Yeah.
All right. Garrett, also of Orlando Magic UK, on his personal account, asked, what fictional character do you think you are most like? Wow. It's a tough one. Fictional character.
I would like to say Corey Matthews from Boy Meets World, but he's so much more like neurotic and at times can be super duper self-centered. I would like to think that I wouldn't do that, but just like growing up, I was like, this dude just has the perfect life, right? Yeah. Outside of that, like I have a hard time being like, oh, I'm like this guy or I'm like that guy. One person that I might be like would be like Zenitsu from Demon Slayer because he's like always terrified of like different things happening and is like just so ridiculous and hilarious. Like, I would never say like, oh, I'm like Levi Ackerman from Attack on Titan, or I'm like Peter Parker, or I'm like Spider-Man. Like I could never, bring myself to say anything like that. So it would have to be somebody like just completely silly and ridiculous.
After much thought, I think I'm going to go with back in Lord of the Rings again with Samwise Gamgee. That's where I'm going. Just like
You're more of like a Smeagol kind of guy.
Okay, now that's out of line. That's out of line.
I'm just kidding.
Sam is just very loyal and dependable, and I always love that he kind of anticipates what his friend needs. Like Frodo's on this very serious mission. It's kind of like the podcast. Jonathan's Frodo. I'm Sam. Jonathan's got this mission. You got to get the ring to Mordor. For us, we gotta lead this show to the promised land.
I'm more like Merry or Pippin, worrying about second breakfast.
Yeah, that's a good one too. But Sam, like, he knows his friend so well. He's anticipating what he needs, and he's helpful. And I don't know, maybe that's
a good one.
I'm thinking too highly of myself, but even like in my job, that's kind of my job as well. So I always got to think one step ahead.
I can see some Samwise Gamgee in there.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. This one's for Jonathan, and exclusively Jonathan, from Justin Pato on X. Can you do a what's in the bag for your golf bag? Can you walk the golf community through what you got?
Sure. Yeah, I actually meant to bring my golf bag in here to do this, but it would just be way too much to do that. So I'm almost exclusively a Titleist guy. Number one, they say the Pro V1 is the number one ball in golf, and they say that because I think it's 70% of the PGA Tour plays the Pro V1 ball. I don't play Pro V1s. I play the Titleist Tour Softs, obviously, because Pro V1s are super expensive, and I'm not to the point yet. Once I start getting through rounds where 1 to 2 balls last me an entire round, I probably will. But even now, I'm probably going through 4 to 5 balls a round and just can't bring myself to do the Pro V1. But I guess I'll start with driver. So right now I have a Titleist TSR2 driver with the Mitsubishi Tensei Blue shaft. Outside of that, I also have the TS2 hybrids. I have a 21 degree and a 25 degree. Some people are going to call me out on how many clubs I actually have in the bag because I have over the legal amount, but I'm not playing in a tournament, so you can sue me. After that, I have 4 through pitching wedge, and I have a 48 degree approach wedge. I have the Titleist 718 AP1 irons. And then I have a 52, 56, and 60 degree Vokey SM10s. And then my putter actually is a 2023 TaylorMade Spider. I think it's a GTX, which eventually people are going to be like, oh my gosh, every club in the bag except the putter is a Titleist. Eventually, I do want to get a Scotty Cameron, but I really want to get fit for that. And I want to do a full bag fitting. Which is just crazy expensive, and Scotty Camerons are also crazy expensive. So I'm not really ready to upgrade that. Plus, I really like my Spider putter because of the Spider-Man thing, and then I actually have a Spider-Man Super Stroke grip on that putter. And then also in the bag, obviously, is rangefinder. I do have a divot tool that has a ball marker that Kevin actually had made up for me that has the 6-Man Show logo on it, which are pretty sweet. Whenever people see those when they're playing with me, they're like, man, those are really awesome. And then I keep the alignment sticks. I keep an umbrella in my bag, and I also keep a Nike golf jacket in the bag just in case it starts raining. And then I have bug spray, sunscreen, which I have the spray sunscreen. I have the roll on for your face. And I also have the lip balm as well because I don't want skin cancer while I'm out there. And then I have a golf pod, golf stand that I can attach my phone to so that when I'm on the range and I'm practicing, I can film some of my swings and send them to my golf coach. So that's everything that I have in the bag. Hopefully that wasn't too boring for the non-golf people.
Well, it was. No, just kidding.
Yeah, right. No, I totally get it.
I'm just kidding. I just don't know what half that stuff is. So
sure, no problem.
Yeah.
Then we have. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, Ephraim Salas Jr. 653 on YouTube. Hey guys, for everything Magic, do you guys believe there are squatches out in the woods, or is Shaq dressing up and trying to scare people in the woods? I'd love to know your opinions on the matter. So squatches, I think they mean Sasquatch.
I was about to say, I've never heard it abbreviated like that. That's a new one. No, I don't believe in I think once upon a time there was some kind of creature like that. Maybe. There's not one now. This world is too documented these days with phones and everything. If there was something at surface level, I think down in the deep sea where you were talking about earlier, like Marianas Trench, there's some stuff down there we don't know about. On land, I think we know pretty much everything when it comes to nature, at least. So I don't think there is.
So you think it's Shaq dressing up?
Yes. Those are the only two options. So yeah, I'll go with Shaq.
Yeah, I actually don't believe that Sasquatch ever existed. Kind of like the Loch Ness Monster. I think it's just a myth because you would think that we would have found some kind of Sasquatch remains, and from what I know, it's all just fuzzy photos and
right.
ChatGPT stuff nowadays.
Yeah. All right, David Falk hit us with 7 questions in one. So let's hit these. David Falk first asks, what kind of cars do you drive? I drive a 2024 Toyota Corolla Hybrid, which I love. What do you drive right now?
I drive a 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe, which I'm trying to love, but I actually do miss my minivan, my 2020 Chrysler Pacifica that took a dump on me a few months ago.
Dude,
but the Santa Fe is nice. You know, it fits everybody for the most part and gets us from A to B.
There you go.
What was your first job?
My first real job, I did work with my mom for a while. She had a job and they hired me as a 15-year-old, just like clean out trash cans and stuff. But my first real job was Chick-fil-A. I worked at Chick-fil-A in high school. And yeah, that was back of house, by the way, where the real work happens, where people are slaving away, making your food hot and warm and amazing. So yeah, that was my first job.
I was a bag boy at what used to be known as Sweet Bay Supermarkets. Then it turned to Winn-Dixie, and now Aldi has purchased Winn-Dixie. But yeah, I was a bag boy. Kevin, do you think we landed on the moon?
Oh, that's a tough one.
This might be back to the conspiracy thing.
It definitely is. I'm going to say yes, but I think we landed on the moon. I'm not abundantly confident. I'll put it that way.
I don't think we landed on the moon.
I can't.
I really don't. Like just the videos that I've seen talking about like how all of a sudden like we just lost the technology from 1969 and here we are, you know, getting close to 70. Is it 60 or 70 years later? Whatever. It's a long time, and the fact that we can't get anywhere near that technology again is just ridiculous. And then like when you look at the photos and it just looks like, you know, like plastic and tin foil that was put together. And somehow we were able to do that in 1969, but we're not able to recreate that now. To me, that seems pretty unlikely. And then when you get into all the theories of like, oh, it was shot on a studio and all that kind of stuff, like, yeah, like I don't think we did.
I can't argue it. I don't blame anybody who doesn't think we did. Jonathan, what is your death row last meal?
Bone-in tomahawk ribeye with a lobster tail. After that, I'm probably going to go again with the lobster, do like a lobster mac and cheese, maybe some crab cakes, cream spinach, grilled asparagus. And then for dessert, I'm going to go cheesecake and creme brulee.
I love
just water.
I love the entire time you had your eyes closed. Like you were imagining this spread all over the table. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's go polar opposite. My last meal would be probably a bowl of Life cereal. That's it. That's all I need in life.
That's it, huh?
Yep. It's just the best. I love cereal in general. I'm a cereal addict, but a bowl of Life cereal, maybe even cinnamon if I'm feeling fancy. Oh man.
Oh my god.
Just hits different. Awesome. With whole milk, by the way. Let's be very clear.
Yeah. Did you?
Oh yeah. You're
me
sorry,
or you?
My bad. Nope.
No, you're good. Did you play any high school sports for the school?
No. My heart was broken. Couldn't do it. If you guys remember that. Did you?
So I played JV basketball my freshman year, and I was such an idiot that after my first semester, I had a 0.6 GPA because I would just thought I was cool. I would go to class and not do anything. And like going back, like I don't really know if I realized the fact that like what I was doing was for sure going to end up in me getting kicked off the basketball team because I was legitimately ineligible. Like where I went to school, you had to have at least a 2.0 GPA. And because my GPA was what it was, like I legally could not play. And then so much so that basically kept me out of high school sports for the rest of my time in high school, because it wasn't until the second semester of my senior year where I finally got my GPA back up over a 2.0. Like I graduated with like a 2.03, and I had to do summer school each year. I had to do night school one year. I also had to do this other thing that we called NovaNet, or like a credit recovery class, where you went into like the computer lab and you basically did like expedited courses on that. which honestly, I ended up paying a girl to do like all my math stuff for me because
Jonathan, oh my goodness,
dude, I used to be a bad kid. Like if you would have met me 15 years ago, you would have wanted nothing to do with me.
I don't know about that.
No, I was an actual like not a good person. But no, so I did not play high school sports for the school, but I did play in like, like the rec leagues, and I would like just dominate like the other kids that were there. My teams were always bad. Maybe I was like a good like numbers bad team kind of guy for a while, but I would always go and do baseball conditioning every year because you actually didn't have to be eligible for sports to do that, and it like got me to do something. So yeah, I did play one semester of JV basketball in which I was a complete bench warmer.
Wow. Well, I'd like to think if your grades had stayed up, you probably would have gone pro with all that experience.
I don't know about pro. I do think I really do believe I could have like played like community college somewhere. Not that I like would have started or anything like that. But yeah, I just really screwed up my high school time there by being a idiot.
I see. A couple more here from David. Says, how tall are you? I am 5'11" with good posture. 5'10" most of the time because I don't have good posture, but 5'11" we'll say.
The last time that I was measured with shoes on, I am 5'9.5". Without shoes, probably 5'8.5", 5'9", something like that.
Yep.
And the last one, what's your dream vacation destination itinerary? We already covered that, but mine would just be like some kind of Mediterranean trip, like a week or so, I think would be perfect.
Yep. 32 I am the one on X says, do you guys play 2K? If so, what's your builds looking like? I do not, Jonathan.
I have for a long time, but it's just gotten just way too much about like the My Park kind of stuff and like microtransactions. That's really taken the fun out of the game for me. What I am really waiting for to like return to 2K would be some type of my player offline mode, in which you don't have to grind like crazy to be able to improve your player and like buy different things. I don't know that they'll ever do that because they just make so much money with all the other stuff. But I remember like playing like, NBA 2K10, where like you would play, you could, it's not like I instantly want my player to be like a 99, but I don't want to have to grind through being like a 65 overall for a whole season to maybe be like a 75 overall and then so on and so forth. And in that mode, like your GM would come to you if you were a star player and ask you like, hey, what players on the team do you like playing with? Who are some other players of other teams that you might like us to trade for? So it just felt like you had really more control over your career, especially before they started all the like corny, like, my player, like storylines and stuff like that. Like the game just is not really fun in my opinion anymore. So no, I don't really play 2K anymore. Maria S. Quiroga on X asks if we're ever going to get one, which do you prefer to get in Orlando, an MLB team, NFL, or WNBA team, Kevin?
I don't keep up with baseball very much anymore. The season's too long. I like baseball, but the season's too long. We've already talked about NFL and how I think I'm slowly getting away from NFL. It probably leaves with WNBA. I mean, I like basketball. Like, bring back the Miracle. They're over my right shoulder. You can't see it on the podcast cutout, but I have a cup of the Miracle over my right shoulder. Bring back the Miracle. I love basketball. It's indoors in Orlando. I mean, bring me that. But if I wasn't picking basketball, if I had to pick between baseball and football, I would probably pick football.
I'm also going to go with the WNBA just because I already have MLB and NFL teams that I root for. True. And would love to see the Miracle come back to Orlando, like, growing game, growing, league. So I'll go WNBA team.
Yeah. All right. Last few here. We're in the home stretch. Alex B on Instagram says, if you could spend 3 days in any international city, which one would you go to and why? Again, we've kind of answered this already. If it's for sports, I would be in London to see Arsenal. And if it's not, I would do something probably in Germany, maybe even in Berlin for 3 days just to check out all the historical stuff.
For me, it's not really, from my understanding, it's not really a city as much as it is an island, but I don't really know another way to describe this, but like Santorini in Greece, again, just like that Mediterranean, like that's like my ideal kind of vacation, like that kind of like old historic, like seaside little town where you can just kind of hang out with the wife, hit the beach, nice restaurants, love, Mediterranean food. So for me, that would probably be it. This one actually is pretty fitting now, given the fact that the Magic are going to Europe. Jonathan_Z89 on X asks, have you ever tried blood sausage, and would you if you have not?
No, I haven't. By the way, he asked that today after the announcement came out, so I think that was on purpose.
Perfect.
But no, I honestly don't even know what that is. I mean, I've heard of it before, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
My understanding is that it's like sausage made from pig's blood.
That sounds disgusting.
So if it's what I understand, which I'm going to Google it right now, but if it's what I think it is, the answer is no, I have not, and no, I would not. So a type of sausage made with animal blood, typically pork, mixed with a filler like grains, fat, and spices. So no, I have not. No, I will not. No, thank you whatsoever there.
Look, honestly, I'm the kind of guy, I'll take a bite of anything. Like if I'm trying something, I would take a bite of blood sausage. Would I order it at a restaurant? No, I wouldn't. Garrett is back and he says, thing you're most looking forward to doing in London. Well, again, if I can figure out a way to see the Arsenal play, I'm going to do that. But outside of that, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of sites there. I mean, some people say they're overrated, but I don't know. Maybe we can meet the king while we're there. You think we can meet King Charles? Maybe. That'd be kind of cool.
Probably not. I think the thing that I'm honestly looking forward to the most doing in London is just like our friends from Orlando Magic UK and like followers of, our show and other Magic fans. It's just like being on their turf.
Yeah.
And just like kind of experiencing that and like, hearing from them like where we should go, what we should do, like that kind of stuff. And like, honestly, thing I'm looking forward to the most doing in London is watching the Magic play. But outside of that, it would just be like being around the Magic fans on that side of the globe.
Yeah, we need some of our friends to take us to a pub. That's what we need. Take us to a pub. And
have a pint, try to split the G.
There you go.
As they say. Dalek93 asks, who are some of your favorite non-basketball YouTubers that you watch on your off time, excluding Drew Gooden, since I know you're friends with him?
Oof. Man, YouTube is where I live, man. I watch more YouTube than I do TV. I love YouTube. I love Diary of a CEO. He's on fire right now. He's doing some amazing, amazing stuff.
Obviously, check it out.
Oh, okay. Diary of a CEO. Yeah, Diary of a CEO. You definitely need to check out. It has some of the world leaders of all kinds of different topics and subjects on the show and does very in-depth, like 90-minute long interviews. They're really, really good. Obviously Mr. Beast, just for like the wow factor and craziness factor. Love him. My favorite YouTube channel, and this is just really lame. My favorite YouTube channel is a channel called Walletopia. I love wallets and like leather goods and stuff like that. And he literally reviews wallets, and he's just does a bunch. That's all he does.
So he doesn't make them?
No. He just reviews wallets. That's all he does. And he gives them scores and everything. It's great. For someone like me, it's amazing.
See, the stuff that I know, I don't know if you're into it, but like when like leather working videos come up on, Facebook or like Instagram or TikTok, like if somebody's making a wallet, I don't care if it takes 20 minutes, I'm locked in.
Of course, yeah. Those are like the ASMR type where it's silent. And you just hear the leather cut. Yeah, it's great. But no, this guy reviews not just leather wallets of all kinds, but it's great. Through Drew Gooden, I found a guy named Eddie Burback, who's one of his friends, another very funny, entertaining YouTuber. I don't know. I literally have so many. Those are some of the first ones that came to mind.
Yeah. For me, it's a lot of like, like golf YouTube channels. Like I love Bryson DeChambeau. Grant Horvat, Bob Does Sports, but the Busted Jack guys, those are probably some of my favorite golf YouTubers. Outside of that, there's a few like Final Fantasy YouTube channels that I follow, like the Night Sky Prince, Final Fantasy Union. I'm trying to think if there's really anything else. That's really the majority of stuff that I watch on YouTube. Just trying to go through like my list of like subscriptions, like my favorites. I mean, the Giants Nation show, my buddy Bobby Skinner, who's also a patron of ours, but he does a New York Giants podcast. He's awesome. Game Ranks, they always do the like before you buy. So if there's a game that I'm interested in getting, they do like a review, give you a little bit of like, gameplay stuff and a little bit of like their personal opinion so I can decide if a game really is for me before I go ahead and buy it. And then one of my favorite finds more recently is a guy, his YouTube channel is called Retro Rebound, where he basically goes back and like reviews old games that like he's never played and then like reviews them kind of through today's lens. Honestly, that's most of it. A lot of times, like just random stuff that will pop up on like my recommended page is stuff that I'll watch. But a lot of it, honestly, is like, YouTube golf kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Next, from Belgian Magic, what's the one Belgian thing you have heard of? Waffles.
Waffles. I was going to say players. Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku, Axel Witsel, like a bunch of soccer players like that. Dries Mertens. I don't know. Outside of that, I mean, Brussels is a city there. Antwerp is a city there. I don't know. It's all soccer related. That's pretty much all I know. But
isn't Belgian chocolate is a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, Belgian chocolate is a thing.
Yeah, waffles and chocolate. That's
there you
really,
go.
Unfortunately.
And our last question before we get to the last section from DDuffy_31 on X says, "What's your best dad advice? Baby boy was born July 10th. Loving all the new things. God is good." First off, congratulations. That's great.
Yeah.
Glad that you have a new baby boy as of July 10th. 3 weeks ago today, as you're listening to this, Jonathan, what is your best dad advice for D Duffy?
The thing that I tell every new dad or like expecting dad is like, obviously it's super scary. You have no idea what you're getting into. You obviously don't know what you don't know. And like, we're all just still trying to like figure this out. Like I've been a dad now for 6.5 years and I'm still like just trying to figure it out and have no idea what I'm doing. But I think really the best thing that you can do is just like do your best to be there every single day. Like they're going to need you. And then just like, if you're there, if you're a present father, and if you just love your kid as much as you possibly can and just try to do your best every day, I ultimately think you're going to be just fine.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know what else to add to that. My goodness. Yeah. Presence is big. Yeah, one of the things that when my kids, well, they're still young, but like as my kids are growing, like I'm still having to remind myself of things that they have not yet experienced in life and how they're experiencing things for the first time, right? Certain things, even, my kids are a little bit older now, and, they've experienced a lot of life, but, not a lot of life, and so trying to put myself in their shoes and in their brain and like things to me that might be, I don't know, simple or normal or mundane for them is like a huge deal or scary or whatever. And in addition to what Jonathan said, that's something I'm going through right now, is just trying to put myself in their place and try to do my best to be understanding of their situation or of their mindset so that I can better explain or help them walk through whatever thing they're going through.
I think we deleted this next question on accident, But if I remember correctly, so this is the part where we're going to talk more about like our faith, like to wrap this up here. So would love for you to continue to listen, but that's kind of where we're going to go now. So Daniel Flores on X, I believe he asked like who are like some of our favorite like Christian artists or like or bands, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, do you see it right here? I see it on mine. You don't see it?
No, I don't. I don't. It says, respectfully, I can't believe this. And then he lists some of his, but I can't actually see the question for some reason.
No, that's something else. That's not that. His question was, I see what you're saying. It is missing the first part of the question. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But that's
you
what
can ignore
we're asking here, right?
That's something else. Yeah. But he is asking what are his favorite, Christian artists and stuff.
Sure. Yeah. So mine is Torrin Wells. I like especially his song Known. Which just talks about like being fully known and loved by God. And it's not so much that like, God knows everything about you and that God loves you. It's that God knows everything about you and yet he still loves you. And that is something that really resonates with me a lot. Outside of that, going to be like pretty like basic answers. Like I, appreciate, like Brandon Lake, Elevation Worship. I mean, I have a whole worship playlist on my phone that has, I don't know, at this point, it's got to have like over 200 songs and just tons and tons and tons of artists. Usually like the way that I find new like worship artists or songs is like through like the worship portion of our service. If it's a song that I haven't heard before that like really resonates with me, I'll just go and like download it. Like I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, Brandon Lake's coming out with a new album, I want to listen to the entire album. Or Elevation just came out with a new album, I'm going to go listen to the entire album. I just haven't ever really found worship music like that in that way. But yeah, Torrin Wells is definitely like my most favorite Christian artist. What about you, Kev?
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much tend to stay in like that worship realm. So like Red Rocks, Passion, Phil Wickham, Elevation, and Bethel as well. Like I don't necessarily love all the things that come out of those churches necessarily. They've got some questionable things, but music wise, like I think their music teams are great. Yeah, those are some of just the main ones that I tend to gravitate towards. Treva JCT on X says, how's Jonathan's faith journey going? Smiley face, praying hands. And what have you been up to during the off season, Jonathan?
Well, I would like to know how your faith journey is going and what you've been up to during
That's
the
not
off
what
season.
he asked. No,
That's kidding. What I asked.
I know, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, faith journey is a journey, right? Every day is something new, something different. You're figuring out how to interact with others and asking for guidance in that in every step. And so that's kind of where I am right now, dealing with people that I like, sometimes dealing with people you don't necessarily care for, and you got to figure out how best to love them through that. And so that's part of my journey right now. And the off season has been lovely, although I'm kind of ready for it to be over, just from a sense of wanting Magic basketball.
Yeah. My faith journey, my good friend and the pastor of our church, he always talks about like stumbling forward in grace, right? Like trying to do our best every day, but still falling short every day. And that's why we need Jesus' sacrifice, and that's why we need God's grace and everything like that. And I'm just trying to do the best that I can, right? Like I always think there's this KB song who's a Christian rapper, and on I think it was like an LP that he put out called 100 a few years ago. And at the end of one of his songs, he says like, I'm just trying to hear that well done, good and faithful servant. And like, that's kind of how I try to live my life, is like try to remember that like at the end of my life, like ultimately what I want more than anything, whether like beyond this life and material things and goals and the podcast and stuff like that, ultimately what I want for my life more than anything is when my time on this earth is done, is that I'll stand before God and he will say, well done, my good and faithful servant, right? Like everything that I do, always try to view it through the lens of like, how can we glorify God and how can I live my life the way that God wants me to? But that's a struggle. Like I'm so far from like a perfect person and so far from, being holy or, what would be considered, righteous. Trying to do my best every single day. I heard recently that like, if you're not growing, you're dying, like your faith. And I do feel like, I don't know necessarily that I've been in a stage of like dying, but not necessarily like in a stage of like a lot of growth in that area. So that's something that I'm focusing on as well. But yeah, I'm just grateful that, every day God gives me another day of life. And I just try to be like really, focus on like the blessings in my life and not about the things that I don't have, and just try to be grateful for everything and give God, the praise and glory, for everything. Like even when we have like wins as a podcast, I always just try to use it to glorify God. And like Kevin can speak to this, like how many things have we done that like we just have no explanation for like how they've happened other than like God just making a way, like time and time again. So that's an update on my faith journey and what have I been up to during the off season, waiting for the regular season and golf and doing this and hanging out with my boy Kevin.
And answering almost 3 hours of anything but magic mailbag questions, Jonathan, which you get to do the honors of our final question.
Our final one. So Nick Alvarez, which again, this has my name in it, but I'm going to ask it to Kevin as well. I've heard Jonathan mention a handful of times about his faith and church attendance. Would love to hear more about your walk with Jesus. Kevin, I've never heard your testimony before.
Well,
would you care to share that? Or
sure. It's short and sweet, but I was born to the family of a pastor. So my dad was a pastor, so I grew up in the church and kind of did that whole thing, which isn't all that it's cracked up to be. Like it's got pros, it's got a lot of cons, and the church is a place full of imperfect people, and so you kind of learn that
expectations on you.
A lot of expectations. You kind of learn that pretty quickly, but yeah, like I just kind of followed in my family in that way, like kind of learning under them like who Jesus is and what how learning who Jesus is impacts your life and how you live and how you interact with others. And so, I had really good examples in my family and people around me. My family did a great job of surrounding me with great people. And so I just learned from the best. I learned from really, really good people who took their walk with Jesus very seriously. And so, I did that whole thing as a kid. And I was 11 years old when I decided to give my life to Jesus and surrender it all to him. And I've been walking with him ever since. It hasn't always been great. Obviously, we all stumble. We all make mistakes. And sometimes it's one mistake. Sometimes it's months or years of mistakes, right? But either way, here I am in 2025, faith as strong as ever. I believe in the gospel. I believe in the saving power of Jesus. And I want everyone else to know it as well. And so that's kind of where I am these days and where I've been.
Amen, dude. So me, just like about my walk with Jesus. So I find it kind of hard to talk about my walk with Jesus without talking a little bit about like my personal background and my upbringing. So my parents were divorced when I was 6 years old. And then when I was 9, I went to bed in my bed and woke up on the floor in the bedroom in the apartment that I lived in with my brother and my mom. I woke up in a sleeping bag. And our entire house had been packed into a U-Haul. And I was told, hey, we're moving to Ohio. So me, my mom, my brother, we moved to Ohio. And then long story short, the courts were like, nah, your ex-husband kind of has visitation rights. You need to bring those guys back to the state of Florida. So I came back to the state of Florida for a time, ultimately decided I wanted to stay in Florida with my dad. All my friends and everything were here. So it was literally me and just my dad for a while, and my mom and my brother were in Ohio. And my dad was saved in 2003, so when I was 10 years old, but I really hadn't been brought up that way. And just like some experience with some church stuff, and just like really like rejected that for a long time and was like very skeptical of Christianity and like just organized religion and everything like that. And then, just like ran from God for a really long time. And I was not a good person. I remember I was 15 years old, watched my best friend in the world, his girlfriend cheat on him. And then I basically helped the entire school hide it and lie to him until he found out because of a girl, because I was an idiot and I was just a knucklehead. I was a bully. I'd got into a lot of trouble. Luckily never a ton of serious trouble, but just kind of like, barely dodged that in a lot of situations. And then as I grew up, I started working at the eye clinic that I talked about earlier, got invited to a friend of mine's like child dedication at church with my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife. And I was there during a message on apologetics, which if you're unfamiliar with that, it's just kind of like logically being able to defend like your Christian faith and not just believing in some guy who was a magician and was really good at convincing people that like Jesus of Nazareth really did exist, like he's a historical figure. And that for some reason, his followers believe that he died and resurrected, and in this huge, massive movement that still exists, 2,000 years later today. But long story short, was in that service, and my wife and I, girlfriend at the time, just both had like a real, like meaningful, unmistakable encounter with Jesus Christ. And then we both got baptized like shortly thereafter. And have been walking. I guess it is work at times.
Yeah.
Walking with Jesus ever since. It's not always like the easiest life to live, but it's by far the most important and meaningful thing that I've ever done, and don't regret it for a second. And yeah, I mean that's really it. Kevin and I, we're definitely don't hide our faith at all. Doing this pod, we know that like this type of conversation isn't really for everyone. So, we just kind of, bring it up when we feel that it's appropriate. But
and
yeah,
we were
just
asked
wanting
too. That's the other thing. We were asked.
Yeah,
so that's
correct.
That's the other. So there are people that are interested in this, and maybe you have you're similarly walking in this way. And so, but that's why we wanted to save it for the end. Because we know it's not for everybody, and we never want to be accused or come across as like we're trying to turn this podcast, this platform into something else, which like Jonathan said, at the end of the day, we want everyone to see Christ through us and through our actions and everything, but we don't want to get on here and preach at people because that's not our style. And we know that's not the best. You guys come here for Magic Basketball, and we're always going to give you that, but it is always going to come from the lens of who we are and what we believe. And we're never going to apologize for that. But that's kind of why we threw this at the end there.
Yeah. And again, we don't ever want to hide from it. And like, as a Christian who like spends so much of their time like doing what we do, I always have the question of like, oh, am I making this like an idol, in my life? But like, I also do think that part of it, and the reason that God has allowed us to have this platform, is that so like when the opportunity like comes up and we find that it's appropriate, like we do try to share it to like its full extent. And something that I always try to encourage, maybe like non-believers in, is that the way that I was living my life, and from talking to a ton of people just about life and God in general, is that especially as you get older and you're able to like experience all the things that you want out of life, is that like no matter what you've experienced or what you've been able to achieve or attain or buy or experience, you just always feel like something is missing. And I and Kevin believe that like the thing that's missing in your life is Jesus. So if you're somebody who, is struggling, like trying to find purpose or like fulfillment in life, and you've tried everything, whether it's, making a lot of money to be able to buy whatever you want, or sometimes, you might seek, happiness through, substances and things like that. Like if you've tried everything else,
your sports
or
teams.
Sports, or like whatever your vice is, like if you haven't tried Jesus, like what do you have to lose? Like if you try it, you might come to like, oh, it's not for me, which, for me, if you have a real encounter with Jesus, it's kind of hard for me to envision that. But like, just think of it that way. Like it might be one more thing that you try that you might be like, oh, it's not for me, but I would venture to guess that, it's exactly what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you got to lose, right? Like if you're at that point, you feel like you're at the end of your rope. I mean, there's one thing left to do. He's there. He's never left you or forsaken you, and he's just there. You just gotta call and he'll answer. So, and if we can help you do that, let us know. We'd be happy to do that.
And he loves you. Like you might never have heard that before. Like Jesus loves you and wants a relationship with you, and he doesn't want the like perfect, like cleaned up, fixed version of you. Like he wants you as you are right now. A lot of times you hear people, oh yeah, I'll go to church when I like get my life together and stuff like that. And like talk about earlier, like what's a piece of advice you've heard that is bad? Like that's bad advice. Like believing that you have to clean yourself up before, you try to have a relationship with God. Like that's just so far from the truth. And, if anybody ever wants to talk more about this, I know my DMs, Kevin's DMs are, always open. And, or if, you want to talk to somebody, like DM me, I'll give you my phone number and I'll talk to you as much as you want about this kind of stuff. So, but Kev, we're at 3 hours with this. I thought maybe this would be like 2.5 hours. Here we are at 3. I think we did a good job of answering everyone's questions. But I think we need to make this kind of like a two-parter. I don't know how we fit that into the audio.
Yeah, we'll go back later and we'll add a little intro that says it's 2 parts. It'll be great. But yeah, this has to be 2 parts. So I guess part 1, which would have already come out if you're at this point in the episode, came out Thursday. So this will come out Monday. Obviously, if any Magic news breaks, we'll add something at the beginning, talking about that Magic news before this, but then we'll roll into this and that'll be that. So yeah, you got 3 hours of anything but Magic mailbag. We always commit, and by always, this is year 2, to reading every question. If this grows again next year, we might not be able to do that. It might be patrons only or something like that, because 3 hours is thick. But it was really fun. I enjoyed it.
It is really fun. Always appreciate. I'm like looking at our off-season agenda. Like, do we have anything else that is coming up? And we really don't.
Right.
So,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So that is going to do it for part 2 of our Anything But Magic pod. Appreciate you all for listening. I hope you got something out of it and hope you all enjoyed it. For Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You have been listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!